If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It is free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You are now listening to Discover Your Potential with renowned radio talk show host and certified holistic practitioner Cindy Gilman. So listen, participate, be inspired. Know that you can discover your potential. Here she is, Cindy Gilman.
Well, hello. I hope many of you had a stuffed turkey day. Lots of people eat too much that day. But it's been an interesting time because so many people have had so many changes in their lives. Many of them have had a tough time even getting food for that day. One of the things I wanted to, first of all, most important before we even get to the title of the show is Gratitude, Grief, and Hunger. And these are all products of what we have been going through. Now, if for some reason you miss part of this broadcast or want to pass it on to one of your friends or loved ones, after today's broadcast, it's made into a podcast, which you can go to www.wdyptalkradio.com. Before we begin the topic, first of all, there's so many people that need healing. I can feel the energy. I want to thank the two people who are the entrepreneurs and work 7 days a week. Doug and Don, two brothers who have made it possible for so many of us to spread our message to you. So I am grateful to both of you, and I thank you for always being there for me. I am grateful that I know you and love you. So today is Dress Down Sunday. Last broadcast, Doug and I were wearing our evening clothes, tuxedos and gowns. Today's Dress Down Day. So, Doug, what are you wearing for Dress Down Day?
A robe, a T-shirt, and a pair of pajama sweatpants.
You know, I was going to suggest pajamas. I'm wearing my silk pajamas, so we're both comfortable.
Right. I even have these extra special socks that keep your feet warm. It's like wool inside. Oh, great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
I made it cozy.
That's good. Today should be a cozy day.
Thank you, by the way, from our hearts to you. Thank you very much for what you said earlier.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. So, this has been a very strange year. Unusual in many, many ways. And I'm not going to get into the figures or the data or how many people this, how many people. We're going to talk about the effects of how this has affected people's lives in many ways. I know many families have sat at their table having loved ones, relatives, transition to the other side who've passed on. And so there's a feeling of loss and grief. Many people haven't had enough money to buy food, And I think if you are regular listeners, you have heard me mention, please get a bag of non-perishable foods. Or, in fact, if you just want to send them a money order or a check, bring it to your nearest food bank. Millions of people are relying right now on the food from food banks or food pantries. So let's not forget them. So you're listening to BBS Radio. I'm sorry, BBS HD Radio. And I don't know, this seems to be a different holiday. So many rules and regulations. People just staying home with their immediate family or who lives in the home with them. Although many of you broke the rules and traveled, but I hope you enjoyed that day. I always find it interesting that when holidays come up, very often people forget the significance of the holiday and just remember it either by, oh, it's Turkey Day. Well, this is a day when we give thanks, when we are grateful for whatever it is, even if it's a roof over our head or the people we love and who love us. Everyone has something to be grateful for. So I am eagerly inviting you to call in and share with us what you are grateful for, and if you'd like to talk to my guest, who I will introduce in a moment. Now, our call-in number is 888-627-6008. And no funny phone, well, you can tell a funny story, but no phone call that we might have to take you off the air. I want to tell you a quick Thanksgiving story. When I was young and my brother was in kindergarten, it was the only week my dad had some time off from his job. So my parents went to New York City, and my brother and I were shipped to my grandparents' house. Now, my grandmother was an immigrant from Eastern Europe, and she was still getting used to American customs. So my brother, who had seen in kindergarten beautiful portraits and paintings by Norman Rockwell, who painted pictures of Americana with families around the table with a big stuffed turkey with the stuffing sticking out and the nice and crisp skin and greens around the turkey and all the sides. We went to my grandparents, and she had boiled chicken and a chicken soup, took the chicken out, and put a big platter of it on the table. And my brother went, "Grandma, this is not turkey dinner." And she looked at me and she goes, "What's a turkey?" I said, "Well, a turkey is much bigger than a chicken." And he proceeded to tell her what he had learned about Thanksgiving. And he said, "Grandma, everybody has turkey on Thanksgiving because when the Pilgrims came here on big boats to come to a land of freedom where they could practice their religion, and so the Indians are indigenous people, taught them how to hunt, how to grow vegetables, and they were all invited to share a meal. he never mentioned that the next day many of the Indians, unfortunately, were slaughtered. It was a bad Holocaust. But he said, but the Pilgrims came on big boats across the ocean to come to a land where they could worship free. And my grandmother very nicely looked at my brother and said, so I'm a pilgrim. I thought that was cute. She thought she was a pilgrim because she took a big boat to come to this country. So, I have, and I invite you again to call in. Gratitude, grief, and hunger. Gratitude. And I will say, I am grateful after each line. This is written by Melanie Beattie. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. I am grateful. It turns what we have into enough and more. I am grateful. It turns denial into acceptance. I am grateful. Chaos to order. Confusion to clarity. I am grateful. It can turn a meal into a feast. I am grateful. A house into a home. A stranger into a friend. Makes sense of our past. Brings peace for today. And creates a vision for tomorrow. I am grateful. And I hope as you're listening, my dear friends, and I truly appreciate your listening, I hope that you can think of one or two things, whether small or large, that you feel grateful for. Again, the call-in number is 888 627 6008. I know many of you, holidays sometimes are not what we think they will be. Very often with family issues, and especially this year, where families have been broken up over who vote for who. But this year, so many people are going through a rough time. Let us send healing to all of those who are suffering with the virus or their after effects. Let us send healing to all of those who are feeling angry, depressed, anxious, lonely. Let us send condolences to those of you who may have lost a loved one, whether to the virus or to other health issues or other issues. Let us also send condolences to the family of Alex Trebek. And I found out today that the man who played Darth Vader in Star Wars passed on. And that was a bit of a shock. So, it's time for our guest, and I want to tell you a little bit about him. I respect this man immensely. Dr. Michael Vignogne is a physician who works with people who have emotional, mental, and behavioral issues. He, along with his healing dog, Stella, have provided health and healing to those in pain and feel misunderstood. I have to tell you when I would sit with Dr. Mike, he always brought Stella along with him. And I say Stella is a healing dog. Stella would sit very peacefully, and I could feel the energy in the room. And Dr. Mike told me she comes to his office with him and offers a very peaceful but loving feeling to the patients that go there. So Stella, the healing dog, and I'm sure she's sitting near him, have provided health and healing. During this time, and especially this past week of giving thanks, I thought it must be fit, to bring to you the one person I felt could help you. I strongly suggest you call in anonymously. Share your issues, tell us what you're grateful for, and if we can help in any way. And I'm sure Dr. Mike can. And so it's with great respect and love that I bring to our audience Dr. Michael Vignon. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Cindy. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I know I was a little wordy at the beginning, but do you have a favorite Thanksgiving story you want to share?
Thanksgiving favorite story. Well, I got lots of stories.
I'm sorry?
I have lots of stories.
Okay, can you give one Thanksgiving story that stands out, either that was heartwarming or funny or whichever one comes to you?
Well, probably the one that just came to my mind was, this was probably 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was up in New York visiting my family for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the normal hustle and bustle of everybody cooking food and whatnot. And we used to poke fun at my dad for being a hoarder. He would just save anything and everything. The garage was full, the basement was full, the attic was full, the shed was filled with just stuff. Anyways, it's Thanksgiving afternoon, 2:00, and my mother announces that the oven is not working.
Oh, boy.
And that we won't be able to cook the turkey. So my father, without missing a heartbeat, said, you know what, I might have an extra filament for that oven out in the garage.
Wow.
And sure enough, 10 minutes later, he came back. He pulled out this oven heating element, popped it in the stove, and he saved Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So with that, I just kind of sat back and said, thanks, Dad, for having an extra heating filament. So you never know.
He was a Thanksgiving superhero.
He was. So
he was a Thanksgiving superhero.
He was. He saved the day.
So did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I had a Florida Thanksgiving with a couple of my friends. So it's we're still having summer weather, so it's warm and cozy all the time.
Okay, rub it in. Go ahead.
And typically I would go up to my family's house for Thanksgiving in New York, but decided to stay here, keep my family safe, and so it was just a special time eating outside. Ate too much food.
Me too.
Yeah.
I felt like a friend of mine brought over food, and I felt like I was going to burst.
that's part of Thanksgiving. And what I thought about this year, Cindy, was that I told myself, hey, I have to be flexible.
Right.
Even though there's a part of me that wants to go to New York, how can you make this a special Thanksgiving? Staying here, so.
Well, sometimes friends become like a part of the family.
Mm-hmm. They are, definitely. And my friends have definitely helped me over the last 9 or 10 months of COVID, right? I haven't been able to travel, and so.
Are you seeing your patients remote?
Some remotely, and some in my office, wearing a mask and protected. So I'm actually finding that people have been isolating a lot, and so if given the opportunity to come in a safe manner, a lot of times people will come in. So
now, the patients that you've been seeing, have you noticed a change as far as depression, anxiety, lack of sleep, fear?
All of the above.
Mm-hmm.
All of the
what
above.
do you, without naming any particular, and I know you're one psychiatrist who actually does therapy besides just writing scripts.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing in patients?
What am I seeing?
As far as, can you go into a little bit of detail as to the types of issues they're dealing with and how you can help them through that?
Yeah. Well, definitely anxiety has been much more intense the last 10 to 11 months. Right?
Is it because they've lost their businesses or their jobs?
There's been job loss. There's been disconnection from people.
Mm-hmm.
There's been, a lot of people like to plan, right? And COVID has sort of disrupted a lot of planning.
Right.
You can't plan trips. You can't plan getaways. It kind of forces you to stay in the moment.
Right. I mean, even group gatherings, you can't even have that. I mean, we can't up here.
Right.
Everything's limited.
Right. A lot of people's coping mechanisms have been sort of taken away.
So when you say coping mechanisms, for example,
going out to dinner, going out to the movies,
right?
Being with a group of your friends, having a birthday party,
right? When I think about people who have planned weddings, and they've planned them for a year or two, and all of a sudden they're saying, you can't have that. You can only have 10 people. Right.
There was a wedding I was supposed to go to in September that didn't happen.
Where was it?
It was in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be in Bristol, and that got canceled. And then I just received a virtual invitation to a baby shower that's going to happen in December. And I thought, well, it's kind of neat, right? People aren't going to be getting together for baby shower, but with the miracle of technology,
right,
we can get together.
Mm. Right, and the thing is, a lot of people are not comfortable with going to doctor's appointments, or if they had elective surgeries, putting them off, and they're afraid to go, even if their symptoms are severe, because so many patients are filling the beds with viral problems.
Yeah, I remember back in March, I thought, all right, this will last a month or two, right? And then the summer came, and it was like, wow, we're still doing this. And then the fall came, and now the winter. So
right.
It really forces us to stay in the moment.
Right.
Right? It's all we have right now is the moment.
And you're down south in a warm climate. Are people wearing their masks?
Most people are wearing masks. Like, you have to wear a mask in most of the stores.
Right.
So I think people are getting tired.
Right. It's
Right.
been a long haul.
Right.
And it's not over, sadly. And it's these lingering effects for people who have had it that are causing all kinds of physical and emotional problems, neurological problems, blood clot problems. So you're seeing people with a lot of anxiety. How about, I heard that a lot of younger people are actually having suicidal tendencies.
Younger and older. So when depression reaches that point of hopelessness, then those dark thoughts about wanting to end it can creep in. So
now, are they able to admit that to you when they see you, talk to you?
Yes. Yeah. I've created a safe space for people to talk just about anything.
Sorry?
I've created a safe space where people can talk about just about everything.
Okay.
And so even having thoughts about, wanting to kill yourself, those aren't uncommon, and we definitely need to talk about it and not be afraid to, I'm going to be, down here it's called Baker acted, placed in a hospital against my will. So it's definitely something to be put out on the table.
Now, if someone comes into your office or you're seeing them virtually, and they don't mention that, but you can just sense, because you're very intuitive, and you can just sense that they may be having thoughts of taking their own life. How do you approach it with them?
I just ask them. Right? It's there's no shame in that question.
Right.
And I want them to know there's no shame in the answer. There's almost kind of relief when someone says, "Hey, I feel this bad that I'm having these thoughts."
Right.
So, and what gets talked about and what the light is shined on, we can work with. We can talk about it. We can come up with a plan to keep you safe.
So if there are listeners today and they are feeling, I can't take it anymore. I have nothing to look forward to. I feel hopeless. What can you say to our listeners that maybe, because a lot of people still feel, and maybe it's their generation or the way they were brought up, but they still feel there's a stigma to going to someone professional for help.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you tell those people who I know are listening right now to help them?
I would say if you're afraid to go to a professional, reach out to a family member or a trusted friend,
mm-hmm.
or a pastor, a minister. There's the suicide hotlines that are available. So there's help out there. It's just taking that first step and
right.
trying to make a connection, and even telling a trusted family member, then that takes it outside of you and
puts it on them. But do they feel responsible to convince them to live?
Well, no. I mean, as you and I have talked about, right? We're all connected,
mm-hmm.
right? So I think to sit with pain and sadness and fear and dark thoughts, to sit with it by yourself is got to be the worst.
Right.
So the first part is sharing with someone, and that's the first step in getting help. So, and I think all of us need to be heard.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So I think the isolation the last 10 or 11 months for a lot of people has been significant.
I know, and they keep saying with the numbers going up, we may have to go through another. I know here where I am, the governor has said we're going on a pause, PAUSE, for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So she's shutting down a lot of places. Now, what about the depression? I mean, the anxiety.
The anxiety.
A lot of people deal with anxiety even without this particular time.
Right. Right. And so it's a time to practice. Like I was telling some of my patients in the beginning that I feel like I've been practicing for this moment for the last 10 years with meditating, honing those skills that can bring me back to the moment.
Bring you back or your patients back?
Bring both me and my patients back, right? Because when we get stuck in fear,
mm-hmm.
right, then it's all in our head. So I remember when the lockdowns happened, I thought, well, how are my patients going to get in? What's going to happen to my practice? And
right.
I had to say, all right, Michael, you just got to show up every day, trust, and be flexible, and go with the flow. And, it forced me to learn how to do Psychiatry, which I had never done up until this
What type
year.
of psychiatry?
Via the computer,
Okay.
Right? So I was so used to being in the same room with people.
Right.
And so
you do the virtual...
I do virtual, right? Especially when...
So they can see you and you can see them.
Correct.
And now some patients you're seeing in the office.
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, do you think things are starting to come to simmer down a bit, or are you still seeing? I'm seeing more, but I'm feeling. I mean, I am so bombarded, and I had mentioned this to you before. Usually, I get bombarded from people that have passed on to the other side, being a medium. But I'm feeling things from people who are still here, that are living. And I'm feeling their nervous energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about this. Some of us who are empaths or intuitive people, we've been awoken at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning every morning.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some sort of energy flipping around right now that's causing this, because I'm not the only person.
Right. You're not the only one. And I think...
And it's exhausting.
Yes. So I would say self-care is like one of the biggest, most important things to do right now for people.
I'm sorry,
self-care. You know, taking care of yourself.
Right. Yeah,
right?
It's when people have cell phones. Sometimes I lose part of the word.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I just have my cell phone. But self-care in terms of turning off the electronics, going out
right.
for a walk, being creative somehow. It's so important. Otherwise, we risk burnout from the
mm-hmm.
stress. So.
Before we go on, I want to give out our call-in number again. It's 888-627-6008. We're going to take a moment break, and when we come back, Dr. Michael Vignon is our guest today, and he offers a lot of experience. So please call in if you just want to say what you're grateful for or thankful for, or if you have a question about something you're going through. Again, the number is 888-627-6008. This is Cindy Gilman. I am the host and developer of this program, Discover Your Potential. I am a spiritual medium and a certified holistic energy practitioner. I'm also a certified relaxation counselor. For those of you who would like a session, you're welcome to visit my website, cindygilman.com, or if you'd like a personal, and all sessions are private and discreet. The phone number is 401-885-6888. 4115. I know many of you have been listening to the complimentary meditation, which is on the website www.wdyptalkradio.com. And if you would like to get a helpful but inexpensive gift for the holidays for $10, you can purchase a copy of the meditation, which will be sent to your friend or loved one's computer. So it's www.dyptalkradio.com for all the podcasts, and Cindy at Cindy Gilman, Gilman with one L, .com for personal appointments. Thank you. Dr. Mike, do you have a website you'd like to give to people, or a way they can reach you?
My website is my name, Michael Vignogna, V as in Victor, IGNOGNA, MD.com.
And that's your website?
That's my website for my private practice. And there's contact information within that website.
Okay, so people who are in need of help, please have the courage to talk to a professional. As I mentioned, Dr. Mike is a psychiatrist who actually does therapy. Many psychiatrists don't. They just write prescriptions. And he's worked with people for a number of years who have emotional, mental, and behavioral issues. And you can talk to him virtually. And he, along with his healing dog, Stella. I miss Stella.
Oh, she misses you. She's actually out by the water, just meditating right now, quietly.
Yeah, I used to love before you moved, Stella would come in and she'd sit. And she was just, her energy was so soothing and calming. Your patients must love her.
They do love her. And what's also been really nice, Cindy, is that a lot more people, now that they're home, have been adopting dogs and cats from the shelters.
Oh, excellent.
So the shelters are emptying, and more and more people are able to,
provide homes for them,
work from home, and have a companion. So that's been great.
Oh, that is wonderful.
And our dogs get us out every day for walks. Right? And help with the loneliness. So I'm a strong advocate for anybody that wants to adopt a dog or a cat.
I think people who rescue animals are to be congratulated.
Yes.
Because these are the animals that really need a loving home. Every time that commercial comes on TV where they show animals that have been either neglected or abused, it's so difficult for me to watch it. I just can't imagine how people can do something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's through the ASPCA that does that commercial. But there are animal shelters everywhere. And with everything that's going on, they're filling up. But now people are, as you mentioned, starting to adopt them. And there are certain dogs that, you know, if you have children, there are certain dogs that are better with children. I find that sometimes with rescues, the dogs choose you.
They do.
It's so interesting because people will go into a shelter and they'll look at 5 or 6 different dogs or even 10, and one dog will come up to them and literally, you know, lick their hand, lick their face, wanting to sit with them, if they're small, sit on their lap, or just sit by them, or just act so happy their tails are going. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And cats, I mean, kittens, so many litters of kittens. I'm not really a cat person. Are you?
I like cats. Yeah. I like
think
cats. Go ahead.
I'm sorry?
I was just going to say I kind of like all animals.
Right. I have a client that has 2 little baby goats. And she used to run a therapeutic riding academy. And now the horses are gone. And she got 2 little goats, and they are precious. And they love people. They come right up to her and want their head scratched or under their chin. Or they're just wonderful little animals.
They want connection too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit while we still have time. Since this program is called Gratitude, Grief, and Hunger, let's talk a little bit about the hunger issue. For months, I have been telling people or suggesting to people on the air to please, if you have an extra $10, get a bag of non-perishable food and or even baby diapers that people need, and bring it to your nearest food bank or food pantry. What are you seeing down there?
In Florida, what I'm seeing is there are lots of local food drives, and they're announced on the television, via emails. So the small little city that I'm in, they'll just announce that there'll be a food drive on Friday afternoon from 3 to 6, and they give out free food. There's several food pantries down here, and local churches are donating to different organizations to help people. Yeah, it's wonderful.
So whether you bring food or send a donation, they're always, and especially now, I mean, there was something I saw on TV where cars were literally lined up for miles just to get into a food bank to get enough food to last them for a day. And these are people that have lost their businesses, lost their jobs, and, I think there are a lot of people that think, people go to food banks because they just want something free. This is a need. People are hurting, and we can help make it easier.
Yeah, the stigma of that even has to be taken away, right?
Right.
Because I know so many people that have been self-reliant and self-sufficient for their entire lives.
Right.
And now this has really shaken them up. And
that's right.
They've been unemployed for months and months and months and months, and there's still bills to pay and little kids to feed, and so
and big kids to feed and elderly.
Right. So I can empathize with all the mixed feelings that come up for people as they have to go and ask for food. So.
Okay. For those of you who are listening, we only have 9 more minutes to go. So if you want to call in, and I thought there was a gentleman who was going to call in, 888-627-6008. Be nice to Doug. He's a wonderful person, and we'll get you on the air, and you can talk about what you feel grateful for, or if you want to talk to either Dr. Mike or myself. We only have eight more minutes till the end, so get your call in quick. Doug will answer the phone and let me know if someone is calling. I thought you might have someone who was calling.
Myself?
Pardon?
Who did you think was going to call?
I just thought a friend of yours was going to call.
Oh, they're probably listening intently.
Ah. So, how can we take these last few moments and offer some peace of mind and positivity to our audience? You're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking. And the thought that comes to my mind is to remind everybody that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And even though that feeling might be there,
right,
to know that we're all in this together.
Right.
And we'll work together and get through this one moment at a time. And we all have to take care of each other.
Correct.
Yes.
We are all connected. We may look different from others. We may have different lifestyles. We may have different political views. But we are all connected as one. And the divine is within each of us. And we have to look within ourselves and call on the divine to help not only ourselves, but those around us. We're all connected by a thread. And whether you meditate or do exercise or connect with friends by phone or by online, there are ways. And if you hesitate to call people who really need to hear another voice, have the courage and strength to just call and say, "How are you doing? How are you doing?" And listen to them. Because if you give them the opportunity, they will talk to you. And if you need more than that, you can contact Dr. Mike on his website, which is, once again,
.com.
What is your website?
My website?
Yes.
It is www.michaelvignone.com.
You want to spell Vignone for them?
V as in Victor, I-G-N-O-G-N-A.
Okay. You can contact Dr. Mike. You can contact me at Cindy, traditional spelling, at Cindy Gilman, Gilman with one L, .com. Michael, it is always an insightful, educational. I always come out learning something new. Thank you so much for being with me today to share with our audience your expertise.
You're welcome, Cindy, and it's been an honor to spend the last 60 minutes with you as well.
And give Stella a big hug for me.
I definitely will. Thank you, Cindy.
And Michelle sends her love. So
thank you.
We will talk soon. And to all of you, thank you, Doug, for being so right on the spot for us today. Wishing all of you a peaceful day, a week of gratitude. Remember, be positive, test negative. Bless you all, and I'll be back next time on Discover Your Potential. Bye-bye.